New promising information about the team's defense is now available. If you're looking for daily content on this topic, it's important to stay alert, as there's a lot to discuss not only in this video, but also in the coming days, especially with the draft just 8 days away. An outstanding tracker has been developed by a talented individual who stands out among the many draft trackers I've followed this preseason. Without a doubt, this is the best one. One of its key features is its coverage of the 30 most relevant visits, making it the go-to source for understanding which athletes the team has formally met with. Personally, I find this tracker extremely informative, and I plan to include a link to it in the description below because it truly is impressive. Additionally, there are other resources beyond the top 30 visits. Now, let's dive deeper into what we've learned from these visits, which officially conclude today, focusing on the team's interests and the athletes they've pursued. This includes details about their personal profiles and all supplementary information surrounding those formal meetings. To start, after reviewing all the available data, we have information on 24 players who are confirmed to have visited, organized as follows: 5 edge rushers, 5 interior defensive linemen, only 1 linebacker to our knowledge, 3 cornerbacks, and 5 offensive linemen. Among the offensive linemen, some are undoubtedly tackles, while others are clearly guards, though there remains some ambiguity with a few roles. In addition, there are 2 wide receivers and 3 tight ends. This gives us a broad view of the positions the team has been focusing on during their search for new talent. The analysis of the positions targeted by the team shows a mix of tackles and guards, with slight uncertainty about a few other prospects. Furthermore, the team has brought in 2 wide receivers and 3 tight ends. This setup is intriguing and deserves a deeper look. Recent additions include James Pierce Jr., confirmed today, and Shamar Stewart, who has also recently been confirmed. Offensive tackle Josh Simmons from Ohio State joined the group, along with Marcus Bowe and Caleb Rogers, both guard prospects. I'm not sure if I mentioned Kyle Williams before, but he's among the names as well. Chris Paul Jr. may have already been highlighted among the top 30 visits. When reviewing this information, it's essential not to overinterpret the meaning of these visits. The team wants to get familiar with these athletes, and although there's a relationship component, the main goal is to assess genuine interest. There are clearly notable prospects who haven't been listed among the top 30 visits, but would still be considered if available at pick 11. One example is Abdul Carter, who, despite not being officially listed, appears to be highly regarded by the team. Nonetheless, we can get a general view of the percentages based on the types of players evaluated. Today, we'll focus on a player I find particularly intriguing, James Pierce Jr., who we've discussed recently. Let's break down the percentages for a moment, always remembering to approach this data with a critical eye. Compared to other players, especially one previously mentioned, we'll analyze the presented percentages. It's crucial to approach these figures with a healthy dose of skepticism. I'm not saying this is groundbreaking data. However, in context, 48% of the known top 30 visitors played on the defensive line. That includes 21% interior linemen and another 21% edge rushers. Additionally, 12.5% of the visits involved cornerbacks, another 12.5% were tight ends, and 21% were offensive linemen. A closer look reveals 4% were linebackers and 8% wide receivers, though it's a small sample size. The implication is that considering both offense and defense, nearly 23% of visiting players are trench-focused or have the potential to play in the trenches. This suggests around 2/3 of the athletes they wanted to evaluate more closely will be working on either side of the line. That's significant, as the team urgently needs to improve in those areas on both sides of the field. Currently, the defensive line group feels thin, and the offensive line is always looking for reinforcements. In general, selections for these roles tend to happen in the 3rd or 4th rounds, as was the case with a notable 3rd-round pick who became a solid addition. However, the team may be considering earlier selections based on some of the players they brought in. A few names come to mind that might be under heavy evaluation. So, they may be exploring a move in the 1st round for one of these prospects, which is interesting. A recently added name to the list has stirred up a lot of debate, and I'm curious to hear everyone's thoughts on him. If the team opts for this athlete, who shouldn't be confused with another player who caused some mix-ups, would you be comfortable selecting him in either of the first 2 rounds? He's projected to be a day 1 or day 2 pick, right? That seems to be the most likely scenario. I'm not saying that with absolute certainty, but I'm fairly confident. So, if the team selects him, it's probably going to be in the first or second round. How confident are you about picking him within that range? At this point, it seems many fans are divided on this particular prospect. Let's talk about him and my views, and I'll be interested in reading your comments. It was recently reported that he's doing a pre-draft visit with the team. He wasn't a full-time starter until recently, with a limited number of sacks and quarterback pressures. His college seasons included a solid total of tackles, including tackles for loss. His draft stock rose due to his performance in a major event, which we'll discuss as well. He spent time with multiple teams during the pre-draft process. Now, if you're considering selecting a player based on one specific event, let's use that as a starting point before diving into the event's details. Based solely on that event, how confident would you feel? We've seen teams base their picks heavily on that type of performance. Someone who runs an exceptional 40-yard dash time can suddenly jump up a round or two, like one Kansas City player who was projected much later but moved up into top-tier status based on his combined showing. This brings us to the Senior Bowl. Several team-focused content creators attended, and I followed their analyses of different players. One name generated a lot of buzz after impressing many observers, and it's easy to understand why. Still, player evaluations should primarily be based on game film. It's the most meaningful measure of NFL potential. Looking at the tape of the mentioned athlete, his athletic ability is clear. He stands nearly 2 meters tall and weighs about 131 kilos, making him an intimidating pass rusher. However, there are concerns among fans regarding his lack of production. Some fear he won't bring the necessary impact to complement an existing star, raising speculation that he may become just another forgettable name. This concern is legitimate and deserves attention. According to Pro Football Focus, there's a player with great versatility and high upside who still needs to refine his technique and discipline, despite his raw athletic traits. His college performance indicates room for development, but he has the physical attributes expected of a future NFL player, which positions him as a potential day 2 draft pick. While not a guaranteed star, he could become a valuable contributor in the future. This potential is key to his draft projection. He has the size, frame, and athletic tools, but needs better technique to reach his peak. When we talk about potential, we're referring to what a player can become. So, he has room to grow into a standout player, justifying a day 2 selection. While his physical traits are solid, his technique and production still need work. That's important and shouldn't be overlooked. His pass rush needs refinement, though his run defense has drawn praise. This contrasts significantly with another player who showed greater production. Moreover, when comparing his college usage with others, we see he lined up directly over the tackle in about a quarter of his snaps. That shows some schematic versatility. It's not an exaggeration to say that a key trait of players in this mold is performing well from wider alignments. There's plenty of tape showing what he can do in open space. Can he be a top-level run defender and pass rush threat from that spot? That's an essential question. I'm not convinced he's that guy, at least not yet, but there's a chance he can grow into that role. When considering potential, I prefer not to bet on someone who's only a maybe. The team might be bringing this player in because they believe he's more than a possibility. They believe he's a certainty. They see him as someone who will become that player. Even though he needs development, the coaching staff trusts they can get him there. I'm not a professional scout, so I'll leave the detailed evaluations to the experts. My goal is to interpret the available information. Some of the pros for this player include his impressive frame, even by NFL standards, his elite explosiveness, and his ability to convert speed to power. He uses strong hands to disengage for blockers and shows great balance and movement despite his size, making him effective at holding the line and run defense. I'm just trying to understand the nuances here. There are positives to Shamar Stewart, his size, explosive traits, and a blend of speed and strength that can be dominant. He has active hands that help him shed blocks and shows the ability to control the line during run plays. However, he often fires off from back foot, allowing offensive tackles to get the first step. An issue in contrast to James Pierce Jr., his pass rush technique needs work, and his hand placement can be wide and inconsistent. He sometimes plays with a see ball, chase ball mentality, indicating he needs better anticipation and balance. This stands in contrast to Pierce Jr., which is expected since they're not in the same draft tier. But to be fair, the gap between them isn't huge. None of this is unfixable. It can all be developed with coaching. That's why a player like Stewart is worth the investment. There's belief that with proper guidance, his hand placement and disengagement technique can be improved, unlocking his full potential. There are reasons why a team would be interested. I'm not against this choice, but for the 49ers, the real question is who gets picked in the first round and who's left later. If they take a defensive tackle early, many top edge players might be gone. Someone like James Pierce Jr. could still be available, which is hopeful, but they might need to trade up, perhaps with the Titans, to secure him. I like Shamar Stewart, but I don't think there's currently a perfect scenario like replacing an aging star with him. That would be the ideal setup. Right now, no player is clearly on the verge of retirement who would need a direct replacement. What we see instead is a team in need of a strong pass rusher and dominant presence on defense, and they have to figure out how to get both in this draft. I don't think this will be resolved through free agency. So that's the outlook. Share your thoughts in the comments. I hope this was insightful, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you think. Only 8 days left. It's hard to believe. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Brock Purdy's rise to NFL stardom was nothing short of extraordinary. From being drafted as Mr. Irrelevant to leading the San Francisco 49ers to a Super Bowl appearance, Purdy's journey seemed almost scripted for a Hollywood movie. But now, whispers around the league are suggesting that the once celebrated quarterback might be ready to leave the franchise that helped launch his career. Could Purdy's days in San Francisco be numbered? Let's take a closer look at the rumors that have sparked intense debate. Purdy's 2024 season ended on a sour note, with the 49ers struggling to maintain their dominance due to a series of injuries to key players. Despite his solid individual performance, Purdy's team faltered, finishing with a disappointing 6-11 record. The once promising squad, which had soared to the NFC Championship and a Super Bowl appearance, seemed to have lost its spark. Purdy himself missed 2 games due to injuries, raising concerns about his long-term durability and the 49ers' ability to protect their star quarterback. These setbacks, combined with the franchise's overall struggles, have fueled speculation that Purdy might be considering a change of scenery. Sources close to the quarterback have hinted at his growing frustration with the organization's inability to keep its roster healthy and competitive. As a young player with immense potential, Purdy is undoubtedly aware of the need for stability and a solid supporting cast. Is he prepared to move on in search of a better opportunity to win? What makes the possibility even more intriguing is the fact that Purdy's contract situation remains fluid. Although he's still under his rookie deal, the clock is ticking, and other teams might start to show interest in securing a talented quarterback like Purdy. Given his impressive stats and leadership qualities, it's no surprise that rival teams would be eager to explore trade options. If the 49ers are unwilling to make necessary adjustments or offer better protection, Purdy might just decide it's time to test the waters elsewhere. Fans and analysts alike are waiting eagerly to see what the future holds for Brock Purdy. The quarterback has already proven he can thrive under pressure, but with the 49ers' championship window closing due to their injury woes, the clock may also be ticking on Purdy's tenure in San Francisco. As the offseason progresses, all eyes will be on the young quarterback to see if he decides to stay loyal to the 49ers or take a leap of faith into a new chapter of his NFL career. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.